The automaker Jaguar is currently in the beginning phases of a major rebrand, and I gotta say, this rebrand is pretty weird. And even though the rebrand has just started, people are already dubbing this one of the worst rebrands of all time, and we've got to talk about it. But before we dive into that, I am excited to let you guys know that if you are someone who missed the Black Friday sale for my course, the Car Sharing Masterclass, we are currently running our Christmas sale, which is valid from now until the end of the month, December 31st at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time. So basically the rest of 2024. If you're interested in checking out this course for a steep discount, you can use the code Christmas225 to get $225 off. Or if you want to check out my course, the Car Buying Masterclass, you can use the code Christmas100 to get $100 off. The link to both courses will be down in the description below, as well as in the pinned comment section as well. We all know Jaguar, the British automaker founded in 1935 and truthfully has been an iconic player in the space ever since. But in recent years, the automaker has been struggling. Due to their extremely poor reliability, depreciation, and lackluster innovation, and its high price point despite these things, Jaguar has no doubt been looking for a fresh start, and it seems like 2025 is their year for that. Now, we've known for a long time that Jaguar has been winding down production of some of their flagship models, and they've been looking to make a major pivot. The XJ sedan was dropped in 2019. The E-Pace, F-Type, I-Pace, and XF sedans are also ending production. Even the F-Pace SUV, one of Jaguar's best-selling cars, is winding down production end of 2024, beginning 2025, which may leave many of you with a question of, well, what's going to be left? Well, nothing. In recent months, Jaguar has announced that in 2025, they'll be selling no new cars. And between the F-Pace ending production, which is expected to happen in the next couple of months, and Jaguar's new electric vehicle lineup, which isn't expected to hit dealership lots until mid-2026, between this time, so beginning of 2025 until beginning to mid-2026, Jaguar will only be selling 2024 and older vehicles, which means they will not be selling any new cars for the entire year up to 2026, which, given the current state of Jaguar's current inventory situation, will leave them with plenty of inventory to work with in the meantime. But that's beyond the point. The point is, Jaguar will not be selling new cars for the next roughly year to a year and a half because of the fact that EV production for the Jag is taking longer than expected, and there is what I'd assume a much larger than expected lead time between the older models like the F-Pace ending production and their EVs ready to hit dealership lot. Now, this has red flags written all over it, but let's hold off talking about those for a little bit, and instead, let's talk about some of the different odd things that have been happening with Jag over the last couple of months. Now, a rebrand isn't a rebrand without a rebrand. And what I mean by this is that the decision by Jaguar to not produce any new cars in 2025 is frankly odd and definitely unprecedented. But it really isn't why people are giving Jaguar second looks, and it also isn't why people have dubbed this rebrand one of the worst of all time. Because the reason why people believe this is because of Jaguar's new look. And why tell you about it if I can show you? Now I'm going to cut in right here and provide some commentary, that way YouTube doesn't strike this video as copyright infringement, but let's continue. Now, this is going viral for, well, obvious reason. We compared this ad to some of Jaguar's past ones on YouTube, and you can see the starking difference. While their old content reminds me very much of other competitors in the space like BMW, Mercedes, Audi, this new ad feels like a perfume commercial more than a car one. In fact, whenever I originally saw this commercial, the first thing that I thought of were those old school Apple commercials when they had the colored iPods, back from like 15 years ago. There is no arguing that this commercial is strange. And truthfully, the thing that I just don't get is who they're speaking to in this ad. Because statistically speaking, men are the target demographic for an EV because men make up about 2/3 of the EV market compared to women. Men also find automotive brand names more important than women, so they would be the ones to value the Jaguar name more than a woman would. And yet this ad absolutely does not cater to men. Because to be honest, as a woman who owns an EV and who also falls into the demographic of a target customer for a high-end luxury vehicle, even I look at this and go, what? Now, I've got to give them credit. This ad is going viral, so if virality is what Jaguar wanted, then they for sure got it. But I guess the lifelong question comes into play here, and that is there really no such thing as bad press? Because if that old adage is true, then maybe this Jaguar ad is actually doing more good than bad. But I don't know. But wait, there's more. The commercial was really just one part of the equation here that consumers were watching and were leaving themselves second guessing what they just watched. But what Jaguar is actually getting a lot more flack for is their redesign of their logo. And truthfully, I think that this is well-deserved flack because their logo redesign is much, much worse than that commercial. Jaguar has long been known to have a pretty iconic and recognizable logo, having its current one or a variant of its current one since 1982. A logo that many people, including myself, would consider classy and timeless. And Jaguar has rebranded both their text logo as well as their image logo. For their image logos, they swapped out their iconic Jaguar for this J design. And they changed their font to this. And I hate it. It actually seems like everybody does. The very first thing that I thought of whenever I saw this new font was the episode of SpongeBob whenever SpongeBob loses all of his holes in an effort to be more normal.
Hi, how are you?
I never thought I'd hear myself say this, but please come in, SpongeBob.
Now, this next take is just a personal preference here, so I'm going to take a minute to rant about it, but I genuinely do not understand why every new EV lineup has to have a futuristic feel to it. I genuinely do not get it, and I am very frustrated by it. Why can't we have a normal car with normal stylings, normal buttons, but just happen to have it be an EV? Every time an automaker starts introducing an EV, their font becomes more futuristic and they lose interior buttons. And while I am asking that question somewhat rhetorically, I also do know the answer to it because I have covered it in past videos, and it basically comes down to profit margin. This is less true with the fonts because that doesn't have much of an impact, but it is absolutely true with the interior buttons. The reality is that it is much cheaper and easier for an automaker to import different buttons into a car if it is just simply overlaid onto a screen versus what a more traditional car has, which is actually switches and buttons, which is much more complex and much more expensive to integrate into a vehicle. So it is absolutely a no-brainer for the automaker to transition to having less buttons because it is cheaper to produce. But it doesn't mean that I have to like it. But I digress. I don't want this entire video to be a crap on Jaguar fest because the one thing that we can say here with this rebrand is that Jaguar is absolutely being risky and they are pulling out all the stops. And you know what? I actually respect it. The truth is, Jaguar has been in need of a rebrand for a very, very long time. For as long as I have been an adult, a Jaguar is definitely known as like an older person car, and they need to figure out a way to win over the millennials and the Gen Z, especially as we get older, make more money, and we become their target audience. But I fear that Jaguar will continue to have the same issues after the rebrand as they've been having for years before. EVs depreciate very, very poorly, and I don't expect that this will change between now and whenever Jaguar EVs roll onto dealership lots, which means that Jaguar's new EV lineup will also have the same, if not worse, depreciation problems that they have now. Jaguar also has a fundamental issue with reliability and a decades-long reputation of poor reliability, and a major rebrand just isn't going to change that. And so hopefully in this year-long hiatus for Jaguar, they will really take a deep dive into their reliability issues, because the reality is, for reliability-focused consumers, a Jaguar is just going to be a hard sell. And lastly is their marketing. Now, I'm going to make a leap and assume that Jaguar hired marketers that are much smarter than myself. And so I am going to give them the benefit of the doubt here and say, even though I don't understand their marketing approach here, they probably have a method to the madness. But I gotta be honest, as a consumer and as someone who works in marketing as my technical day job, I can't help but wonder what the heck they're doing here and who they're really trying to win over. But the bottom line is Jaguar is going through a major shift, and it is far, far too soon to tell whether or not this is going to work. So I guess I'll make an update sometime in 2025. Like always, you guys, I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, comments, if you have anything to add, I would love to hear it, so make sure to leave a comment down below. And while you guys are at it, make sure to hit the like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit the notification bell, and I will see you guys in the next video.